Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and today we're going to be talking about a special shrine world known as Benediction. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. If you have any suggestions for other topics of Warhammer 40K, let me know what they are in the comment section below. And don't forget to thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Shrine World of Benediction. The Shrine World of Benediction, originally called Taladis, is one of the Imperium of Man's most important cardinal worlds in the Segmentum Solar, besides Terra itself. Benediction serves as the capital world of both the Taladis system and the wider Veritas subsector, a region of space heavily populated with Imperial worlds and navigable warp routes. As both a strategic and religious focal point, Benediction has become a stronghold of the Ecclesiarchy, or the Church of the Imperium of Man. It stands as a vibrant symbol of the Imperial Creed's galaxy-spanning influence and power. The Shrine World is covered by a golden theocropolis of astonishing scale. The entirety of the planet's surface is reshaped and sculptured into a mausoleum temple to house the corpses of thousands of saints of the Imperial Church. Many faithful pilgrims of the God Emperor will gladly have given their lives just to see the spire mountains of Lux Aeternis, to walk amidst the statues of the long-dead priests and hierophants, to hear the sounds of psalms echoing through the artificial valleys and stained-glass towers of the Grand Honorificum. This ambitious project was started by none other than the legendary reforming ecclesiarch, Sebastian Thor. During the 36 Millennium's Age of Apostasy, Thor led a great revolt against the depravities of his predecessor, ecclesiarch and High Lord of Terra, Gouge Van Dyer. To learn more about the depravities of this insane and murderous Gouge Van Dyer, please check out our 40 facts on Gouge Van Dyer and the Age of Apostasy, link above. Nevertheless, the Taladis system suffered terribly during these dark days. Its governor, Hectus Carmine, was one of the first to openly and publicly decry the outrages of Gouge Van Dyer. In doing so, he earned the mad ecclesiarch's fury. Carmine's homeworld of Taladis was invaded by forces loyal to Van Dyer, who were faced with the governor's steadfast Astra Militarum regiments and thousands of the God Emperor's faithful who refused to acknowledge Van Dyer's rule. After a fierce conflict that raged for many solar months, Carmine and hundreds of his co-conspirators were finally captured and put on trial. The deposed system governor was brutalized publicly for more than a solar month and ultimately burned alive at the steps of his palace residency. His populace was forced to witness everything. And not content with this blood price, Van Dyer ordered a grand purge of heretics across the subsector. On worlds all across the system, the measures taken by this insane ecclesiarch would live in infamy. Once a prosperous system famed for its splendor, Taladis was reduced to a shadow of its former glory. Eventually, Sebastian Thor and his faithful, and several Space Marine chapters, stepped in and put an end to the reign of blood. With the demagogue Van Dyer gone, he began his reformation of the Imperium of Man. One of the first subsectors the new ecclesiarch visited was Veritas, and its broken capital world of Taladis was its first port of call. Though they had suffered greatly at the hands of the Church, the survivors of Van Dyer's purge greeted this new ecclesiarch with open arms. Moved by their faith, Thor ordered the construction of a grand monument to Hectus Carmine and all who had lost their lives during the Reign of Blood. And so the limitless coffers of the ecclesiarchy were opened, and upon the ashes of the past were fashioned soaring temples and mausoleum cities of gold. Thor decreed that Taladis be renamed Benediction in honor of the fallen. Over the following centuries, the power and influence of the Veritas subsector grew unchecked. The immense wealth generated by the sacred tides, pilgrimage tolls, and generous offerings of the God Emperor's faithful flowed back into the vaults of the ecclesiarchy. In order to protect this valuable and imposing symbol of their power, Thor's successors ensured that several fortress sanctuaries of the Sisters of Battle were built in the neighboring worlds. Entire Astra Militarum regiments were diverted to protect its borders, and the ecclesiarchy's tithe collectors roamed the space lanes of the Veritas subsector, ensuring that the God Emperor's due was paid in full. The orbital dockyards of the world of Satrapol in the Taladis system were amongst the largest of the Imperium. Thousands upon thousands of vessels were packed together in cramped claws, kept stationary for Terran months and sometimes even years, as the ecclesiarch's agents methodically ensured that every tithe was collected. Those who failed to pay what was owed, or in any way roused the ire of the state church, were dealt with by the ruthlessly zealot Grendask Illuminators. These Astra Militarum regiments didn't technically answer to the Adeptus Ministorum, as the decree passive passed in the aftermath of the Reign of Blood prevented the church from maintaining such a military body ever again. Yet such was the ferociousness of their faith that the Illuminators maintained suspiciously close political ties to members of the priesthood. So did Taladis thrive for thousands of standard years, even when the Great Rift tore open and Terra itself was savaged by the demonic hordes of the Dark Gods. The Veritas subsector remained untouched, the prophets of Benediction claiming that the faithful of Taladis lived under the eternal protection of the God Emperor, a reward for all they had suffered. Such predictions were proved utterly false. The Dark Gods had set their eyes upon this gleaming jewel in humanity's crown, and their greatest mortal champion planned to see it burn in the fires of chaos. It was the Wordbearer's senior Dark Apostle, Corpharon, who led a chaos assault upon the Taladis system in the hopes of capturing Benediction and transforming the center of worship of the God Emperor into a dark shrine world dedicated to the Chaos Gods. And thus the Taladis War began, through the efforts of the Imperial Guard, the Sisters of Battle of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, the Astartes of the Salamanders chapter, as well as a phenomenon of the psychic awakening called the Saints' Wall, in which the spirits of the Imperial Sacred Dead were summoned by the faithful of the world. They blunted the Wordbearer's assault. Yet the forces of chaos managed to claim most of the world's surface, and only the city-like Grand Honorificum Cathedral complex remains under Imperial control. Blessed is the mind too small for doubt. Today we're going to be creating some Imperial Creed Shrine objective markers inspired by the lore of the cardinal world of Benediction. Whenever we think of shrines in the 40K universe, we think of massive statues and idols depicting space marines or Imperial saints. But there is another form of shrine that is probably way more common in the 40K universe, one that fits perfectly for a cityscape-themed terrain board. These are the smaller devotional shrines that would be scattered throughout a shrine world. Growing up in a traditional colonial Mexican city, the Catholic Church was very prominent in the architecture and culture. I remember seeing small devotional shrines in every street corner. These were places where worshippers can go and give offerings to God or simply pray. This concept works perfectly with the Roman Catholic aesthetic of the ecclesiarchy. So to create these small tithe stations, we need to get some simple thin cardboard that you can get from a trash container. In this case, I'm using an old hot chocolate box. The first thing we need to do is draw out a foldable template for a rectangle shape. Once this shape is drawn out and cut, the next thing we need to do is fold the sections over to create a rectangular cube. Once the cube is done, we go back to the cardboard and draw out a three-sided triangle that we can then cut out and form into a pyramid shape. We glue this pyramid shape onto the cube and seal one side with a simple triangle cutout. Next, we want to cut small lengths of cardboard that are going to go inside of the pyramid like this, and then place a slightly smaller triangle cutout inside to create a ledge on the front of the shrine. Once the shrine has taken shape, it's time to cut out the borders of the shrine. These are going to be from the same cardboard. I'm purposefully not giving you exact measurements and being vague because the whole point of this is to create shrines according to the size of your miniatures and the size of the buildings around you. But once you get comfortable with creating this form, you can get creative and build 5 more with different sizes and shapes. Your goal is to create an obelisk-like appearance. Once the shapes are all done, all you have to do is go into your bits box and glue on some random pieces to the shrine. When you're painting the shrines, make sure to choose a color that's going to stand out from the rest of the terrain board, because remember that these are objective markers and your opponent and you needs to see them. You could even number them too, because there are certain games that require numbered objective markers. And there you have it, a quick and easy way to create Imperial Shrine objective markers that you can use on the tabletop. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys have suggestions for other topics, whether that be lore or actual objective markers or terrain pieces that you guys would like us to create videos for, let me know what they are in the comment section below. And don't forget to hit the like button. That really tells YouTube that you want to see more content like this, and it helps out the channel. These videos are a little harder to make, but I'm putting in the effort because it seems like you guys like it. So by hitting the like button, letting your friends know that we're making these types of videos, it really helps out the channel, and I will improve on these videos. But thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you tomorrow. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any